Hey everybody, Megan here. Okay, so what I want to introduce you to is something we call the intelligent practice. And our goal with the intelligent practice is we bring you a few different things. We bring you back to your original vision for when you had your clinic in the first place. That space where you could deploy your method and system. It was beautiful. It had associates coming in. You got to set the culture. You got to be the leader and clinic owner and practitioner you always imagined. But somewhere along the way, we got busy and we got distracted and we got stuck doing a million and one things when what we really wanted to do was get right back on track. We wanted a clinic that could produce revenue for us while we went on vacation with our family. We wanted to be able to live the lifestyle that we worked so hard to deliver to our patients. So what we're going to focus on with the intelligent practice are four key things. We're going to talk about optimizing your income. We're going to be looking at how we maximize your impact. We're going to be looking at how we deliver inner peace, and we're going to make sure that we're doing all of it with integrity. So first, I'm going to take you through what we call our ascension model. These are the 4 stages of clinic growth, and there's 5 core things that we look inside of it. And then we're going to look at the 9 projects that exist inside every single intelligent practice, so you know exactly where you stand right now and the inevitability, the steps that make the intelligent practice inevitable for you, so you can have the peace, the income, the impact, and all of the elements you've ever dreamed of. Let's go. So when we're building an intelligent practice, it is more than just a feeling. And there's definitely feelings involved. I can tell you that when you have consistent cash flow, you feel infinitely more peaceful. When you show up for work every day, knowing that you're changing people's lives and having a massive amount of impact, there's a ton of feelings that accompany that. So this isn't about having a feelingless business. It is about having intention and core metrics and key things that we're measuring to know we're moving in the right direction. So in order to do this, we have something that we call our Ascension Blueprint. And the Ascension Blueprint is looking at 4 key parameters that we want to have as outcomes for you. We want to make sure that you're having impact in the world. It's kind of a given. If you're here, you want to have more impact. You're a healthcare practitioner. This is why we go into this space. Secondly, I want to make sure that you have an income that is in alignment with the value you put out into the world. You are worthy of that piece. It is a privilege to be able to change people's lives and earn accordingly at the same time. And we need strategy and intention for that to happen. Number 3, I want to make sure we're doing all of this with integrity. Now, as I move forward and I start to talk about numbers and profitability and revenue, here's the thing we need to know. I trust that you are showing up here with integrity, and I need you in turn to trust that I'm showing up and I'm doing this work in alignment with this bigger vision. So my key vision for the world is that we're bringing better health to more people. I've been doing this throughout the course of my career. So I don't want to keep every time I talk about money, I don't want to throw a caveat on that we're doing it with integrity. This is a core value of my business, and I'm assuming it's a core value of yours as well. And lastly, what I'm looking to achieve for you is inner peace. The inner peace that comes from having predictable profitability, consistent cash flow in your business. I remember we had a big launch. We ran this big event. And as soon as it was over, we had done more sales than we had ever done before. We had money sitting in the bank. I knew where we were going to have consistent cash flow for the next year. And we went away on vacation. We went away skiing. And I still to this day remember the sheer joy and peace of mind that I had. I shared it with my husband so many times. He's like, what's the best trip we ever went on? I said, it was that trip to Whistler after that huge event that we ran, because I had the peace of knowing all of the pieces were taken care of inside my business. So this isn't about buying access to those pieces. This is about knowing that your business can fuel a lifestyle for you, can fuel a sentiment for you, can fuel impact in others in a wildly unprecedented way, more than any other type of business model. But we have to do it with intent. See, here's a really scary stat, is that less than 10% of integrative clinics in North America actually have a profit margin above 7%. The only business model that's consistently more challenging than ours is running a restaurant. So we can't just willy-nilly this. We can't just wing it and hope for the best. Hope is not a strategy that anyone in my world gets to hang out with. We want to make sure that these 4 I's, impact, income, integrity, and inner peace, I want to add a 5th I to it. I want to make them inevitable for you. So let's look at this Ascension Blueprint so that you understand what it is that we're measuring towards. The first thing that I just want to showcase for you in all of this are what our stages of growth really look like. Let me do this as an arrow up. Down here, we have the launch phase. You're first starting out, and you'll see that the metrics and numbers reflect a starting point. We all start somewhere. We all started here. Next, we move into that phase of business that we'll call stabilize. This is where we're like, okay, I kind of trust we're going to have patients that come back next month. We still might be trying to hit a higher threshold in terms of income. We still might not have our core team all fully settled. There's always work to do, but we're taking a bit of a breath of fresh air. We're starting to take a little bit of time off. I'll show you the metrics associated with that. The next phase we move into is that phase we call leverage. What does leverage mean? In the case of business, it means your business is earning money for you without you having to put direct effort in. So it means you can go and take a vacation and you still see your bank account starting to increase. Everything doesn't reside on you. But there's a stage above leverage, and that's where we call scale. And the reason why scale is really important to this model is scale opens up something else for us, and that's options. I've sat here for far too long in my career and watched seasoned clinic owners and seasoned practitioners create a business that can drive a lot of cash flow for them, but they can never leave. Or if they can get away, they get a few weeks vacation every year, and then I turn to them and I say, what's next? What's your plan for your clinic? But because they never set it up correctly, when we really get into their vision for selling or their vision for opening more, what we realize is that we actually needed to start on that process 10 years ago. The top level of this ascension blueprint is called scale, but really I should just call it options, because that's what I want for you. I want you to have the ability to step into your clinic as much as you want or take as much time off as you need. I want to open up the option for you to sell or for you to be able to franchise or for you to open multiple locations. So this is really about not necessarily even knowing what it is you're going to want down the road, but setting yourself up for future success. In fact, it's not too unlike what we do with our patients, where we are helping them to invest in their future health. We don't know what you're going to be doing in your 70s or 80s, but we do know you're not going to lose by having really strong health, really strong bones, a really great cardiovascular system when you walk into that phase of life. It's exactly what we're doing here. So let's look at the different metrics and the trends that we're seeing. So right across the top here, it's just really important to point out what it is we're actually measuring. There's 5 core areas that we want to look at when we're talking about your Ascension Blueprint. We want to look at your overall top line revenue per month, how much money is coming into your business. We want to assess your profit margin. We want this to increase over time. We have tons of clinics that come into our world and they have lots of top line revenue, but what they don't necessarily have is a high degree of profitability or any profit margin at all. Thirdly, we're going to assess your salary per month. We're going to look at how much time you spend with clients. And lastly, we're going to look at paid time off, which is time freedom. And here's the trends that we see here, and these should be fairly predictable. Your revenue needs to increase over time, your top line revenue coming into your practice. This is where the investment of your front desk team and your computer programs and your SaaS and your software and all of that, this is where we start to create economy of scale, because our revenue goes up, but our need for all of those operational pieces does not necessarily. And that's why we can have concurrently a higher profit margin that's increasing over time as well. Obviously, we want your salary to increase, and it's really important to understand when we're working in our world, we're talking about sources of income from 2 sides as a clinic owner. You should be getting a source of income from seeing patients, and you should be getting a source of income as a function of your profitability inside your business. So as a clinic owner, there's actually 2 ways that you should be getting paid. Second last, we have time with clients. And so this is the one area in this whole piece where we're actually moving in the opposite direction. So the goal with time with clients is that your business is less dependent on you over time, not more dependent on you. I can't sell a business where 90% of the revenue is coming from you as the business owner, because we take you out, we don't have anything valuable. So we want to make sure that over a period of time, you don't have to stop seeing patients. I know a lot of clinic owners get anxious. They're like, but Megan, I want to keep seeing patients. No problem. I want that option for you, but I don't want your business dependent on you. And then lastly, right back up to the increase again, paid time off. This might be you take the summer off. This might be you take the last week of every month. This might be that you don't work Fridays or Mondays. So how you want to deploy that is entirely up to you. There's no right or wrong way to do it. But paid time off means you've truly created a leverage in your business. You've truly created a lifestyle business, which couldn't be more congruent with exactly what we're trying to do for most of our patients. Now, this is a lovely model to look at. But what this does not do for you in any way, shape, or form is tell you what action to take in your business in order to make these milestones inevitable. So what we're going to do next as we start to look at and go deeper in the intelligent practice is we're going to talk about the 9 core project areas and the 3 areas of focus that you need to make sure you're in command of as the clinic owner in order to have a fully functioning intelligent practice. Now listen, before I go on, if you've heard enough, if you've seen these numbers, you understand these points of leverage, you're like, this is in alignment with what I want, and you don't want to listen to me talk anymore, no problem. My Instagram is linked up below this video. I'm just going to encourage you to send me a DM with the word growth. That'll be like our secret code word for you wanting me to send you just a little bit more information around how we can support you to hit all of these milestones so that you can start to implement, deploy, and have access to an intelligent practice. So head over to my Instagram, drop the word growth, and I'll send you all of that information right away. Okay, so let's get into the projects of the intelligent practice. These are the areas of focus that you need to have command of as the CEO or the owner of the clinic. Now, it's really important to understand that your job is really, at the end of the day, what I'm going to call resource management. You need to manage your energy. You need to manage the clinic's money. You need to manage the resource of your associates. You need to manage the resource of new leads coming in. So understanding these core projects is really about us understanding where we need to put our time, attention, and energy, again, to make those 5 outcomes inevitable, but it's all going to be about managing resources at any given moment. So if we delve into the clinical practice, the intelligent practice, there's 3 core focus areas. It's like there's 3 office doors that we need to attend to, 3 different hats, if you will, that you might need to put on. And within these 3 different hats and areas of focus, we've got some sub-projects that we can attend to. Now, the goal of this exercise that we're doing right now is twofold. 1, I want you to get a sense of what those projects can be. So it doesn't just feel overwhelming. It doesn't feel like, oh gosh, I'd love to be having $100,000 of recurring revenue every month and have no idea how to get there. So I want you to have a sense of where the action steps need to reside, but I also want you to get a sense of where you actually have gaps and where you're actually doing okay. So one of the things that happens to us, especially when we're a small business, is we tend to overinvest and keep spending time on things we're already good at, hoping we get a better result. So I want for this to illustrate where you've already got things good enough and where we need to direct our attention. Okay, let's jump in. So when we start to look at these 3 initial doors, these 3 areas of focus, we are going to start here, methodology. Methodology is how you deliver your care. It's what your clinic is known for. It's how you're packaging these offers out. Marketing is obviously that. How do you tell the world about what these offers are, what your clinic is, what your value proposition is, who you are? So how do you attract new leads, convert them into your world so that you can get better outcomes for them? And then lastly, there's the money and operations side of your business. And this is usually the part where people are like sink down in their chairs. They want to ignore. They're like, I'm not a numbers person. I never look there. But this is actually where we unlock your lifestyle. This is where we give you the time freedom. This is where we let you head off and have the peace of mind and go on vacation and have the revenue coming in. It's because of the resource management that you have here. So I want you to pay really close attention to that. So we're going to start off in the methodology section, and I want to share with you 3 core areas that I want you to be focused on. Now, in these 3 core areas, I'm going to explain to you what they are, and then we're just going to simply red light, yellow light, or green light whether or not it needs to be an area of focus for you. And before we do that, I just want to set the caveat that no one is going to have all green lights here. And in fact, you could start green and then move yellow or move red over a period of time as your focus starts to change or as you evolve what you do in your business. So this is not an exam. This is not about being perfect. This is just about seeing where you need to focus at any given time. So let's first delve into this idea of clinic ID. What the heck am I talking about? Well, there's 3 core types of clinics, especially when we're talking about integrative care. The first one is what we call a location-based clinic, meaning, and I had one of these, a multidisciplinary clinic in an affluent area of town, high degree of street traffic, tons of visibility. We were in an area with lots of condos, lots of young professionals, lots of people with benefits. And so it worked really well. And so we created a community hub. But our main value proposition is that we delivered high value, high quality care in an energized bubble in the city. We were really a community hub. We had chiropractors, physiotherapists, we did some women's health. We were a little bit all over the map. So our main thing for our clients is we intersected well with their life. Another model of clinic is that where you are a center of excellence. A center of excellence would be a women's health clinic, for example. And within that women's health clinic, you might have a pelvic floor physio, and you might have a chiropractor who manages pregnancy, and you might have a functional medicine doc who works with fertility, or someone else who's managing perimenopause. So it's not one thing that everyone does, but we have one central area of focus. This is really helpful from a marketing perspective. It's really helpful from an integrative and a collaborative care perspective. It establishes our authority well within the marketplace. It enables us to be known for something. It is in some ways much easier for us to open several locations or expand our franchise. One is not necessarily better than the other. It's just really important that we understand what type of clinic we're running. The last type of clinic that we have is what we call a specialty clinic. And this is usually where, regardless of the credentials of the practitioners involved, everyone is deploying a similar methodology. So this might be a rehab clinic that's focused on knees. Whether you're an athletic therapist or you're a chiropractor or you're a physio, everyone is delivering the same system of care to deliver a consistent outcome. So specialty clinics, again, more dialed in terms of their marketing, more dialed in terms of their operations. Probably, well, I know, easier to be able to expand or franchise or open multiple locations, but it's not how a lot of people necessarily want to practice. What's important here is you have an understanding of what type of clinic it is that you run. The next piece under methodology is something I've labeled as care system. Your care system is your clinical methodology, your clinical approach to care. This is what we need to have in place to transition from selling our time to selling our strategy. It is as important, if not more important, than you authoring a book. But it's how we take our ideal clients from point A to a specific designated outcome. You as the clinic owner likely need to have one if you're seeing patients, but it's also an opportunity for all of your practitioners. When we move from selling our time to selling our strategy within a care system, we drive one really important metric in our business, and I think we need to talk about it here, and that is profitability. So cash flow comes from new patients coming in, which is lovely, but profitability comes from our ability to retain them. When we have a discrete system of care, either the clinic all delivers one or each practitioner delivers one, we tend to see a 60 to 80% increase in patient retention, which means there's a direct correlation between better patient outcomes, most importantly, but secondary to that is profitability within your practice. This must be an area of focus. We do not live in a day and age with inflation and cost and overhead where we can afford to have a clinic where we simply all just sell our time. And then lastly here, we've got our offers. This is how we take the respective systems of care and we package them out. So maybe you're in a jurisdiction where your license requires that everybody pays every time they come in the door. No problem. When we've got a methodology, we can speak the language of a package, but we can manage the logistics of someone paying every time they come in the door. Maybe you've got a fertility package that you can put together because there's no restrictions on how you package those pieces out. Great. Maybe you have a postnatal package. Maybe you have a transformational journey that you can deliver with your particular care system. So how you package those things out, how you eventually market them, those are called your offers. The key thing we're trying to get people to do here, though, is move away from selling their time to selling a transformational experience. So these are the three pieces that go into the methodology of what it is that we're delivering. This is what we actually sell to people. So let's really quickly take a second where we start to rate how we're doing in this section. Let's start to pay attention. So we're going to just red light, yellow light, green light, whether or not you've got these pieces in place. So let's start with that clinic ID. Green, if you're like, we know exactly what we are. We're a specialty clinic. We focus on X, Y, and Z. Clear as anything. Red, we're going to red light this. If you're like, oh my gosh, I just have a whole bunch of random practitioners in my office. I never really thought about it. And yellow is somewhere in between. I know you like the people who want all the details. You're going to go crazy with my like high level color thing. Just gut check yourself here. And don't give yourself the marks if you don't have them. Green, totally dialed in. Red, holy smokes. And yellow, somewhere in the middle. So just, we're going to, if you're green, you know what you are. Rate yourself accordingly. The next is care system. Do you actually have a care system in place? Red, no one has care systems. We all just sell our time. Yellow, I've got my care system in place, but I don't have my associates on board with that yet. Green, everyone's got their care system ready to go. Again, just quickly color code where you are at. And then lastly, with respect to offers, we actually have got some discrete offers independent of just selling our time for money. So I just want to use this example and stop for one quick second, because some of you are in jurisdictions, again, where you're like, I sell each individual appointment. How the heck does that work? I was one of you. How that works is that people come to your clinic and they say, oh, I want to work with Dr. Walker. And you're like, no problem. I work with high performing entrepreneurs. I take them from feeling burnt out and overwhelmed and not in control of their health to where their brain and body feels available to them at a moment's notice. We typically work together over the course of 9 months. It's called the Walker method. I just made that up on the spot. And we typically have touch points twice a month. The good news is you pay every time you come in, but it's very much a transformational journey. Would you like more information on the Walker method? So again, we've got the transformation at the top. We've got the logistics at the bottom. If you can package that out and sell it as one, even better. So I really want you to start to separate the transformation from the logistics. If you've separated those out, you have very clear offers that align well to your clinic ID. Give yourself a green. If you're in this place where you're like, I got some packages and then we're selling some time for money. Again, we're a little bit all over the place. No problem. Give yourself a yellow. And if you're at a place where you're like, oh my gosh, what we're really just selling is like a chiropractic appointment that's 30 minutes or a naturopathic appointment that's 20. We're selling a whole bunch of people's time. For right now, we're going to give you a red. So let's move into the second core project area that we're looking at in the intelligent practice, and that's marketing. Marketing is how we get the word out about all the awesome, cool offers that you've created over here. So there's 3 core areas to our marketing system, and these 3 core areas actually work together. And I'm going to, when I take you through all of them, talk a little bit about the relationship between each of these. It is not going to work in today's day and age in a post-COVID health consumer area where information and other pieces are readily available online for us to have just one of these elements. The goal here is that you really understand how these things fit together, and we've got all of them being deployed at once. So the first area that we're going to focus on right here at the top, I did not mean for that to be yellow, but let's just delete it. We can start again. It's not about being perfect. It's about having progress. So let's look at this authority content. This is all your outward facing messaging. So this is your social media. This is you showing up on podcasts. This is you getting referrals. This is your blog. This is you giving talks. This is all the outward facing stuff you do with intention to draw people into your world. Sometimes they'll see you on social and they'll book right away, but this isn't really the point. The point of this is really to take people from being out there to coming into your world. What does coming into your world in today's day and age mean? It means they're opting in to your mailing list. So when they opt into your mailing list, we want to move them into our second phase here, our second project, which we call an automated marketing system. This really could manifest in one of 3 ways. A live talk, everyone is in the room, but they've opted in to be there. It could be a live talk online, a webinar, or it could be what we call an evergreen webinar, meaning we design it to run on an ongoing way. And the link to join it and opt in and share that email address is in the bottom of your email signature. It's on your social media. It's on your LinkedIn. It's in all of the places. And the purpose of this automated education system is, 1, it will drive some people to put up their hands and say, I'm ready to work with you. But more than anything, what it does is it shortens the sales cycle. It gives people an opportunity to hear you or see your intonation or make sure that you're smiling or assess your level of confidence. Do I like you and do I want to buy from you? When I first started practice, we were out giving talks. We were doing all the things social media I don't even think existed. And when I would give a talk in front of a large group of people, we noted that sometimes, even if people really liked it, this was really great, I'll call you when I have a problem, Our sales cycle was typically 18 to 24 months. That is a very long time before people were ready to come into our office. This is partly a function of the lack of technology. It was a lot of the function of the nature of what it is that we're selling. We sell what I call a high ticket item, meaning it requires a high degree of intimacy and interest and commitment for someone to want to work with us. People are sharing really sacred components of their lives. They are changing how they live. They're addressing their food habits. They're talking about core beliefs that come back to their family of origin. This isn't just, oh, the naturopath's expensive, I'm not sure I want to see her. When we're asking patients to commit to our processes, we're asking for a big commitment. And people need to think about that. They need to know that you are the person to help navigate them through this. And so having a tool like the automated education system, that webinar, what it does is it shrinks a sales cycle from 18 months to usually 3 or 4. So again, it's important to understand our authority content is about establishing our authority in the marketplace and making people interested in wanting to learn more from us. Our automated education system is about bringing people into our world and shortening our sales cycle. And then the last piece down here, our nurture content. This could be your newsletter, is the most effective way to do this and the simplest to understand. This is where the gold is. This is where the conversions come from. This is where, let's just stop and call it out. This isn't a marketing exercise, but it's important you guys know this. 60 to 80% of your patients are going to come from nurturing. If you are not sending out an email on a weekly basis to your audience, irrespective of strategy, this is what you're missing out on. If you're sitting there feeling like, oh my gosh, all I do is post on social media for my clinic and we're not seeing more patients and it takes up 80% of my week, it's because we don't have those other pieces in place. So this together is something we call our impact marketing system, but it's really important that we dial in. And I'm going to take you through at the end, if you just did one of these things, what I want that to look like for you. But if you are also feeling disheartened about all the effort you put into social media and the results you're not necessarily getting, it's probably because you don't have the system fully built out. So let's come back in and let's rate each of these sections though before we move on. Authority content. Give yourself a green if you're consistently posting on social media, you're out there networking, you're asking for referrals, you've got an actual strategy to get your brand out there and it's driving traffic through the door. You get a green as I color it in yellow. You're going to take a yellow if you're like, I do some of the stuff, but I don't have a strategy around how I do it, and I actually don't even know if it's bringing us new patients. And you get a red if you're like, nah, I have referrals. I just built my practice on referrals. I don't have anything else going on. And I just want to stop for 1 second because it feels like that's probably a really great thing. It's a really great thing that you don't have to do all of these things and your whole practice is busy, but I just want to call out referrals for 1 second. Just let's label them appropriately. Referrals will typically send you the highest quality clients, but the least predictable ones. So the goal here is never that we're actually dependent on just one way of driving traffic through the door. The goal is that we're stacking it. So if you've got a really strong referral system, amazing. Now what we want to do is we want to look at stacking different options on top. Let's move on to the automated marketing system or the automated education system. Give yourself a green if you're like, yeah, we've got a Clinic Evergreen webinar and yes, it converts and yes, it's available consistently. It's driving leads into our practice. Give yourself a green if you give a live talk at least once a month that people opt into and you invite them to come into your practice. Give yourself a yellow if you're like, I've got some of these pieces in play, but I don't deliver it nearly as frequently as I should. And give yourself a red if you're like, this is kind of the first time I'm ever hearing about these pieces. Lastly, with respect to nurture content, I have a really high standard here only because it is so effective. Give yourself a green if you are emailing your list at least once a week and it's driving consistent bookings into your calendar. Give yourself a yellow if you sometimes email your list, but you kind of know it should be more frequent. And give yourself a red if you're like, I don't even know if we have an email list. I definitely don't know what to say, and I'm certainly not emailing them. This marketing piece, when it is working together, this is what actually fuels the intelligent practice. So the methodology section is where we actually have something to sell. The marketing piece is where we are fueling, we're pouring water into the gear system. And the last component, the money and operations, this is where we're actually oiling those gears. We're making sure everything turns and spins so that the whole system works with ease. It is the least sexy, but probably the most important part for you to unleash and have access to not only an intelligent practice, but the lifestyle that I know you've always been dreaming of. Okay, this money and operations piece, super key, really critical to getting you out of the driver's seat. There's lots of small projects in here, but I want to take you through the core pieces that you're responsible for. So let's start here with the authority pricing. I keep doing this. The authority pricing and the financial literacy side. I mentioned at the beginning that your job is resource management as the CEO or as the owner of your clinic. And this is one of the core resources that you need to manage. So the financial literacy piece here is just a gut check around how competent and confident you feel actually understanding your core documents related to the finances of your business. To get a green here, you've got to have an accountant, you've got to have a bookkeeper, and you have to really understand the basis of what's happening on your profit and loss statement. You're using these core documents to make decisions inside your business. So functional financial literacy is going to be really important to be able to grow your business. But I kind of lumped it in with something else. And I lumped it in with something else called authority pricing. This is just really making sure that the pricing for both you, if you're seeing patients, and your associates equates to the quality of the brand that you're putting out into the world. Nothing will fracture people's confidence faster than if you have the beautiful website and you speak with authority and you're like, we're the best, and then they come in to book and you're the cheapest people in town. Everyone kind of looks around and questions that. When people are making a big investment, and this is a big investment for reasons we've already talked about, they actually expect big pricing. So we need to make sure there's consistency and congruency here. We also need to make sure that your pricing is based on the outcome and the strategy that you deploy, not on your feelings. Not on your feelings. So this isn't about looking at other clinics and being like, well, I feel like we kind of should fit somewhere in the middle. That is not a financial strategy. So we need to make sure that your pricing commands authority. We definitely need to make sure that your pricing is set to drive your business forward, and not just for you, but for your associates as well. So the money piece is a combination of philosophy, of intention, and commanding understanding. Next, we have what I call freedom-driven ops. And I call it freedom-driven ops because I have a love-hate relationship with operations in my own business. So I have long known that I hold space in that visionary seat as a leader in my business. And if anything is going to break or anything is going to hold me back, it's because I, for the longest time, didn't value all of the systems required on the back end in order for us to grow effectively forward. It is not your job to build out all of the operating systems in your business. It is your job to understand their role in scaling your business. It is your job to hire and train somebody to be able to run this for you. So you need to inspect what you are expecting here, but if you set that up well from the beginning, you're going to have a team member who can build all of the SOPs, all the FAQs, all of the air tables, all of the Excel sheets, all the things you need to have a really clean business that drives a consistent user experience for your clients. That's where I need you to value, and that's the lens I need you to hold here. And then lastly is just your HR strategy. And I don't mean just. This is really an area of hidden costs in your business. It's also an area where you can differentiate yourself so readily. Your HR strategy here applies to two different areas. It applies to your admin team, how effectively you're training them, supporting them, checking in on them, ensuring an optimized opportunity and landscape for growth, ensuring that they know how to protect your time. They're bought in on the vision of the clinic, that they understand what your associates are doing, that they have their own command of how they manage and think about money. So there's real intentionality around how we're supporting our admin team, and then simultaneously with our associates. And we could talk for days about associates and what sometimes feels like a mismatch in energy and priority, and in some cases ambition, between associate teams and the clinic owners. And this doesn't have to be this way. This is an opportunity for us to have really clear strategies in place that recognize where someone is at in their career, what type of things reward them, how we help our senior team members mentor our newer team members, how we enable people to feel confident and not endlessly caught in imposter syndrome. So there's a lot of strategy that can go into supporting your associates so that we're not in a state of constant turnover. So they're bought in on the vision. So they're managing their own comfort and state with respect to finances and money and their sentiment around those things. So this is an area where you get to deploy your leadership. You don't necessarily need to have your fingers and tentacles in the weeds of the work. So let's rate how we're doing in each of these areas. As it pertains to authority, pricing, and financial literacy, give yourself a green if you're like, I'm eager to learn more. I get timely statements from my bookkeeper. Our pricing is in the top tier of where it needs to be. Like, I have a really strong command of money. I'm comfortable with money. I want money so I can do cool things in the world. Give yourself I keep saying that. Give yourself a green and I end up with a yellow. Give yourself a green. I'm going to color over top of it. Give yourself a yellow if you're like, I want those things. I've got to work on my associates. My fee structure is high. I'm trying to bring them on board. There's always work to do here. I need to learn a little bit more on that financial literacy side, but I'm interested. I want to move in that direction. Give yourself a yellow. And give yourself a red if you're not in either of those two categories. Let's move on to that freedom ops. Again, green, dialed in, growing. My team is autonomous. My operations are in check. That is not the area that is slowing me down as the leader. Give yourself a yellow if you're like, if I sent you 25% more patient flow in the next week, what would happen to your business? If it's going to break and there's going to be things leaking all over the place, give yourself that yellow or give yourself that red. So the operations piece is something that needs to be dialed in order for you to grow. You will cap out, you will hit that ceiling of complexity, as Dan Sullivan would say, if you don't have these pieces dialed in. And then lastly, with respect to your HR strategy, green, front desk team's taken care of. My associates are like building out their methodologies. They're like really eager around focused on retention. I address the different levels of growth and seniority in our practice to make sure that everybody is operating and challenged sufficiently. Give yourself a green. And give yourself a red if you're like, holy smokes, I don't have a front desk team and I've just hired a whole bunch of random people to fill the space in my clinic. Your yellow, you're going to take somewhere in between. Now, once you have all of these pieces taken together, we're just going to give ourselves yellow across the board here. What we have are sort of 9 core project areas, 9 core areas of focus. And what is not helpful is to look at this page and go, wow, this just feels like I've got a ton of work in front of me. What I want you to know is where you should prioritize. If we were only going to look at one thing in each of these areas, where would we start? Well, where I would start with most people is right down here in authority pricing. Most clinics actually could stand to increase their prices between 10 to 40% right off the bat. This gives you an immediate ROI. It allows you to step into a heightened state of authority, and frankly, it allows you to fund all of the other pieces. It's usually where I start with most clinics. The second thing that we would work towards is we would start to establish care systems, both for you and for your team, even before that clinic ID piece. When we start to understand what the ideal system is for everybody, it's actually much easier for us to come back and clearly label what type of clinic that we're running. Thirdly, on the marketing side, where I start here is with respect to nurture. And the nurture piece is really keen and important here because it's something most of us can deploy right away. It's also the thing we don't like to think about when we're busy with social media or busy building out our evergreen webinar. We want to make sure that we put this habit into place first. It's also way less expensive to reactivate patients you've already had for a period of time than to be focused on bringing new patients through the door. And your nurture content is meant to do that. It will bring people right back into your practice. So those are the areas that we would start with in most cases with respect to the intelligent practice. If any element of this resonated with you, if you want a practice that gives you more time freedom to spend with your kids or your partner or on a beach, the strategy that we deploy in the intelligent practice will absolutely serve where you want to go. If you have a practice that already feels fully leveraged, where you have consistent revenue, where you have time off and you want to know how you're going to take things to the next level, we've worked with those practitioners as well. And if you're just starting out, if you're like, this is amazing, I now see the potential of what my clinic can give me, both in terms of lifestyle, but also contribution to the world, well, we've helped set those practitioners up for success. If you're interested in any of these elements, any of these scenarios, you'll see my Instagram linked below. Send me a DM with the word growth. No sales calls, no complication. I'll send you information right away so that we can start a conversation about where things can potentially go for you, how we can transform your clinic and in your life into something beautiful and intelligent. I'll see you on the inside.